Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And it's been a couple weeks since my last video. I was on vacation, so I was unable to shoot new videos for YouTube. But now I'm back, so I should be able to shoot more videos in the coming weeks. And I'm kicking it off with this review for a series that I just started recently. I've been meaning to read this one for a while, and the collector's editions are currently coming out, so I figured this is a great time to get into collecting the series and also to try it. And it is Mushishi. This is volume 1 of the collector's edition. It is a hardcover. It is beautiful. And since I read it and I really liked it, so I'm going to continue collecting these collector's editions of this series because it is just so great, and I can't wait to review it for you guys in today's video. So without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. Okay, so for those who don't know, Mushishi is a series that follows our main character Ginko, who is a Mushishi himself. And Mushishi is basically a person who goes from place to place, town to town, helping people deal with Mushi. And Mushi are creatures that basically exist between life and death. They're not really perceptible to the average person. And they do all these different supernatural things. Like there's swamps that move across mountains. There's like rainbows that are like kind of solid, but not really. Like they're natural phenomena, but they're like alive. There's like writing that's like alive. There's mushi that will basically live in people's ears, make them grow horns, and essentially like deprive them of their ability to hear anything or make them hear a constant, very loud sound. Which is really interesting. But basically, again, the Mushishi, like Ginkgo, help people deal with these things because when they come into contact with people, it can go very poorly because the average person doesn't have an understanding of how to deal with these supernatural phenomena and the creatures that cause them. But the really cool part about this is that the Mushi themselves aren't like evil or anything. Like that's not kind of what the series is getting at, and I really enjoy that aspect of this manga. It's kind of like they're just a part of nature that exists, and people have to learn to coexist and live alongside them. And I really appreciate that because I feel like when you like environmentalism or like stories that kind of like bring in an environmental aspect, one of the key parts that a lot of these series bring in is like people needing to learn to coexist with a force or an entity that just exists and is a part of the natural world. And that's something that this does really good, really well. And I enjoyed reading it throughout like the entire manga of this first volume of the collector's edition. And I really enjoyed seeing the different solutions that Ginkgo came up with. I really enjoyed seeing the different types of mushi, because like you don't really know what you never know what you're getting in each chapter. Like it really feels like something new and refreshing each time, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, he basically just goes from place to place solving these issues for people, which is really cool. And I think it's a really interesting story about kind of like coexistence and people's place in the natural world. Obviously, as I have a collector's edition of this series, I'm not gonna just go ahead in the video without talking about the collector's edition, right? So it's really nice that it comes in a hardcover. That's really dope. It's like solid. And I also enjoy the fact that there's really nice color pages in here, as well as some really nice like I don't know if they're like author's notes or just like notes from her when she was kind of like talking to relatives and things about different like supernatural things they experienced as like inspiration for the series. And I also know there are color pages in here that I think weren't in like the original like publishing of the series. I would know because I wasn't reading it when it was first coming out, but I think I heard that somewhere that there's actually color pages in here that are new. So if you are a Mushishi reader and you pick this up, let me know if that's true, if there's new color pages in here. Again, I would know. I really enjoyed all the color pages that I saw. It's very solid. I love it. And also I got it from Kino Kunaya, so that meant that with this first volume I also got a Shikishi board of Ginkgo right here, which is really cool. I put it with my plants, like I do with all my Shikishi boards. But yeah, it was really nice kind of like getting that as a bonus alongside the first volume as well. So yeah, just a really great purchase. Like I can't wait to build a collection of these as well, because as the volumes come out, they'll all be hardcover. I think they're also all different colors, so it'll look really nice on a shelf someday once I have all of them. So yeah, I definitely do recommend if you're a fan of the series or if you want to get into it. It's a really good way to spruce up your collection in that sense, I think. Okay, so getting into some of the things I really enjoyed, which I'm going to try and keep it high level, but no promises. But the very first thing would be the connection between humanity and nature, as I mentioned, because the thing about this series, at the very least, this first volume right here, I can't like point to like any individual and just be like, oh, that's the main antagonist, that's the big bad of the series. And it's like, yeah, you could ask like, oh, are the Mushi like the antagonist? And it's like in the sense that like they're technically opposing Ginko as he's like moving from place to place, trying to help people deal with them. Yeah, but like not really, like not in the sense that a traditional antagonist is an antagonist, because at the end of the day, these are just kind of creatures that are just doing uh, just going through their life cycle basically, and sometimes people get caught up in that, and it's not a good thing for them because they don't care, they're just going to do what they do. Which is really interesting. Like the Mushi themselves are not like evil in the sense that a traditional antagonist would be evil. Like in the same way that like a mosquito isn't evil, but we all kind of hate them and don't like them. The Mushi themselves are not evil, but they can very easily ruin people's lives when things get thrown out of balance. Which is another really interesting thing that I liked about this series, because I feel like it really harps on the the necessity of balance in the world. Because when things get thrown out of balance, stuff gets messed up. And usually, you've got like a colony of a mushi moving into a village, and then all of a sudden you've got like their natural predator moving in, and then uh, someone has like horns they can't hear, and things are happening like that basically. And it's like, okay, well, once the balance is upset, people's lives get ruined. And sometimes the balance is upset because people go out and tamper with things, which is also really interesting. And I feel like in a world where so many of our natural resources and natural sites are just kind of being like pawned off and just like not being treated with care. I think a read like this is very important because it really shows like what can happen when you throw things out of balance or you get in the way of nature. Because like, yeah, you can bite nature, but nature's gonna bite you back every time. Like she's not gonna take that laying down, right? So I really enjoyed that aspect of the series. Just seeing the play between balance as well as like humanity and nature, I really enjoyed. I also enjoy how episodic it is in terms of the chapters. Like Ingo will reference things that happened to him in like previous chapters, or like in my favorite chapter in this volume, the traveling swamp. He does kind of start off by um, trying to pawn off things from his previous experiences to a collector, and it's like, oh yeah, I recognize those from like 2 chapters ago, which is really cool. But like for the most part, they're all very self-contained stories, but they're all very like fleshed out, because normally I'm not a big fan of episodic things, because a lot of the time they like end and I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, like I feel like that could have been, you could have done more with that, or like, and if we don't come back to it at any point, it's gonna bug me. But this, like all of the stories in this first volume that I experienced, I feel like are wrapped up in a really nice way, and I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, like that's really great. Like I have no like further questions. Like these people are just kind of gonna go live their lives like alongside these mushi, or they're gonna go live their lives without them, or life was completely ruined by it. I don't know. Which is really cool. I don't know. I really enjoy that. It really shows how Yuki Ushibara's writing is on a really high level, because I feel like she's able to nail the episodic nature of things. But also to talk about my favorite chapter, because I really liked it. As I mentioned, the traveling swamp, where this girl is essentially sacrificed by her village to stop floods, basically, and she's thrown into a river as a human sacrifice, and she basically ends up hitching a ride with a mushi that is essentially making its way to the ocean to uh, break apart and die, essentially, in the similar way that a salmon will swim upstream, spawn, and then die, basically. But the swamp mushi is making its way to the ocean. And she is told this by Ginkgo, like, people drink this kind of water here, and then they just become liquid. Like they become nothing else. And she believes she has nothing to live for. She's kind of like, oh yeah, I just want to like give up on life and just become one with the swamp, basically. But it kind of ends with like her having this moment where she's saved from that fate, because Ginkgo's not gonna let someone just die for no reason, right? And initially she mentioned she's very sad about the fact that like when she became one with the swamp, or when she was closer with it, she realized that like, oh, like this thing is going to like end its life. It's like it's on its final journey, basically, and she thought it was very sad about that. But Ginkgo's like, but that's true, but you were with it for like the entire time, and like you bore witness to like its end, basically, so it wasn't alone in its final moments, which I think is really sweet, really cool. And then she's also able to basically like make a life for herself at this like fishing village that's at the kind of like mouth of the river, where the swamp mushi basically entered the ocean and died. And she's able to kind of like live there, make a life from the very entity that she felt so intimately tied with it. So she's tied to the sea now, basically, and I think that's really cool. I think it really shows like the really intimate connection that can exist between humans and nature if you allow it, if you open yourself up to it. And then at the end, when Ginkgo's like going back to the mountains, he realizes there's a bunch of swamps there because the swamp Mushi was basically spawning on its way to the ocean, which is really cool. It just shows that life goes on, which is really interesting. So like I don't know. It's just really well thought out. I really enjoy it. It's a really great read. I can't wait to read the others. I don't know how many of these collector's editions are coming out or how long this series is, but I will definitely be collecting them and reading through all of them. But yeah, it was really great. I've enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. It was just really well thought out. Even the characters that I've only seen once, you only see in one chapter, they leave a lasting impact, and I really enjoy that. I love that about this series. Okay, so that's going to be it for today's video. This one's a little shorter than some of the other ones I've been shooting recently, which is perfectly fine. I feel like coming off of vacation. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading Volume 1 of Mushishi, the collector's edition, and I look forward to reading the rest of them as well and potentially reviewing them as well if this does well and if people want to continue hearing my thoughts on my journey with Mushishi. And maybe at the end I'll do like an overall review of like the series itself because I feel like I'm only at the start, and I'm really interested to see what Yuki Urushibara has in store for me going forward, especially with the different types of mushi that are kind of like that could exist. Like, I mean, each chapter was a new thing, so I'm really excited to see that going forward. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.